Okay. So hello, everybody, and welcome to today's Volta TST. Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is public and recorded and will be shared live on YouTube. So please be mindful of the comments you make and the information you share. So first of all, there's a little bit of a point on the FTTB upgrade and of the update. We did merge all the patches except two. And we are now getting an update from Abhilash on the change to the metadata in relation to the inner CV LAN.
Okay. So as part of FTTB changes on ONU adapter, we had to read the inner CV LAN from the metadata, which of course ONU adapter earlier was not doing it, only the OLT adapter was doing it. So if there is an inner CV LAN mentioned in the metadata, then it is considered to be a double tagged, and the ONU adapter will go ahead and consider it as a double tagged rule. So what was happening is earlier, even all the flows, let it be the DHCP or even the HSIA single tagged rules, we're adding the inner CV LAN in the metadata for the ONU flows, table 0 upstream flows. So what was happening is eventually they were all going down to configuring the double tagged. So what we have done is we will not be putting inner CV LAN if the intended workflow is single tagged. If and only if the rule is to be configured as double tagged, only then the inner CV LAN will be present in the metadata for the table 0 upstream ONU flows. Any questions so far, or is it clear for everyone?
Clear to me.
Yep,
Okay.
clear for me as well. So I would like everybody to review, make a final review of these two patches. They are, to me, ready to go. I've asked Grish to run a test on hardware today, if he has some time. So if that passes as well, I would say that we can merge these patches, and we could consider this feature complete. Obviously, we are working on some tests, and that I hope not, but they might uncover a few announcements that we have to do. I know Hardik started working on that pipeline. It's going to be a basic sanity test as usual, provisioning the subscriber, checking the flows, and removing them for now. Hardik, anything to add?
No, Andrea. So the work on that is in progress, and probably by tomorrow or day after, it should also be completed for BBC at least.
Sounds good. Thanks, Hardik. Okay, so next up is a topic. There's a little bit different topic. It's not a technical topic, but it's something that we at ONF felt was about time we did, and we're probably a little bit late in doing this. So at this point in time, the only people that have +2 merge capabilities are a very small set of people, mainly all ONF people. I think that Ken and David have a +2 access, and they are not ONF people, but we would like to broaden up the number of people that have +2 merge access to the code base, so that we are not that ONF is not the bottleneck for merging the patches, and people can actually review and merge the patches themselves. We've put in place a page, I call it Contributing to Volta, that says, okay, this is contribution, the best practices, the submitting to code. But what the key element is what we call now core contributors. These core contributors are people that have been very prominent in their contribution and in their review and in their work within the Volta code base, and that through that work, they have achieved such proficiency, and then the TST feels comfortable that they can then get this access of merging the patches within the master branch. So I highlighted a few elements here. The key idea is that we will get the nomination to the TST. The TST must approve that nomination for that person, and the nomination will include details about what who the person is and what their experience is. I also added some tips for the core contributors on how to do like reviews and what is the best practices. So I'll stop here and ask if there are any questions on this topic.
Yeah, I think I think it's scroll back up a little bit. I think bullet point 2 on line 80 is dangerous, particularly merge your own code. No one, in my opinion, should never merge their own code. You always want a second set of eyes on it.
Yes, absolutely. That's a very good point, David. Well, I am guilty myself of merging my own code.
Oh, I am too, but
but maybe what I should say is merge your own code after it has been taken a look at. Well, there was a rule once, we still have it, but it was an empirical rule that you should get 2 + 1s from other people before you merge.
yes.
I can codify that. That is a very good point. Yes. Okay, yeah, I'll take a note and I'll codify that that point here. Yes, absolutely. But as a general approach, does this look good for everybody? I think this broadens the capability of Voltha to really proceed as a great community project as it is.
I mean, I have to admit, I think I worry about the size of the list of people who can do the merge. That seems out of best practices. I understand the need for more than people to do it. It's particularly not just ONF people. I'm just wondering about the size of the list.
So, well, given that, well, before we proceed, let me see if there are ideas about the topic of the core contributors. Then we can talk about the list. I have
Right.
my list of people. I have my thoughts, but if the general approach, I would like still to hear if there are questions on the general approach.
Makes sense to me, and that's pretty much what it had always been in honors and cord and SIBA.
Yeah,
we just never formalized it for Volta.
Yeah, I sort of had a question. Is it for a per project basis or is it for the Volta core multi-projects? So like, I have proficiency in OMCI and the OMU and libraries, but you would want me to +2 a core.
that's a good point, Chip. We can do a per repo permission. I was thinking of keeping it a little bit more simple and relying on the good, relying on the faith that I have in the people that become core contributors, not to merge stuff they don't know anything about. Like kind of I wait a lot of opinions, like for example, on the OMCI stuff, I wait for your opinion before actually merging something. So we could do it both ways. Here, I have not said that we could do it per project. We could do it per repo, sorry, or per set of repos. But we can do it. If that is the decision among the TST, I can definitely codify that in the proposal. The backend isn't already in place to do that.
Yeah, I'm happy with having people be careful of their, doing it properly. I just wanted to bring the topic up for discussion.
Yeah, that's another very good topic. Let me put this down.
Yeah, in the past, in other projects, just for a simplicity of management of the repos, code contributors had the ability to merge on every sub-project. But it was kind of a written rule that if you don't know anything about what you're merging, you, being a code contributor, you should be responsible enough to ask for a second opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that
given
also
that,
gives a little flexibility that if there is a blocking bug and the core contributor for that particular project is on PTO, then you can work around and then revisit it later. So it's really on a trust basis, but we trust core contributor not to mess up everything.
Given that the number of people are increasing, and that's a good thing, is there, maybe it's not in this document, but will it be helpful to increase the number of tests that get runs before code get merged? This way, it's kind of like it's an additional layer of protection.
So that's a good point, Ken. I'm all for testing, but you kind of have to strike a good balance between the length of the tests that you run on a per patch set and the turnaround time of the development. So I've seen like other projects that have like 3 hours long tests before a review of a patch can actually arrive from Jenkins, and that's a bit too much. It really impedes the speed and velocity of the development of the developers. So I think that at this point in time, what we have is pretty good in terms of tests. As I said, we always have to strike a good balance, and I believe the balance right now is good, but I'm open to hearing other thoughts.
No, I think in some cases, I think in some cases we do that by providing the comment on patch itself, the Gerrit patch, like the function test, hardware test. Like if someone wants to really, test in detail rather than just doing the sanity stuff. So, and I think for the OpenONE Go also we do that. We have those targets. If required, we can define a few more, I would say. But yeah, running all or some major functional suite by default, I won't recommend doing that because, again, as I said, we need to keep a balance between that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Hardik. I should put in the document that if you feel that something could, for example, it's that only tested on BBSIM, but you feel unsure about hardware, you could use the hardware test functional test keyword to test it, and the other keywords as well. The other reason why I don't want to increase too much the tests, Ken, is that it's expensive, because we run AWS instances for those tests. So,
okay.
Plain and simple, it would increase the budget, and that's it is a balance there as well.
Okay, so to that point, well, not on the AWS per se, it's on the one area that I've seen before where it caused the most that can be a little bit more troublesome. It's when we update libraries. Like we test the libraries, we update the libraries, and the library has a certain version, but we don't really use that library right away. So there's no component that uses that library. But later on, down the road, after we have put a lot of updates in that library, somebody starts to use that a version of that library in the code in one of those components, and then we see things breaking. So it's and that's really when it comes to the libraries that I've seen things break, like there has been some code submit that eventually caused some breakage, and what I mean is, like, if I don't know what kind of process can be done around that, especially for libraries, to prevent those things from happening, because those can take a long time to figure out what's the root cause of the problem.
Yeah, so putting in an automated stuff to do it, I think it is possible. You would have to update automatically the version of in the containers, but maybe we'll not build because we changed some APIs. So I guess we will it's a very good point. Let me put some thought into it. If you have any ideas, feel free to share them with me. I'll maybe ask NF as well. But I agree with the point that really we've seen major breakage when Voltha Lib Go was updated, and we did like an update 3 weeks before, and then we use it in different times at different places, and something that doesn't break the core that gets used immediately, it does break the adapter, which uses it 3 weeks later. So it's a good point. The way to test this is not that easy. But yeah, I think we should at least see if there is a path that we could take.
Yeah.
And if that path becomes too complicated, well, we stick with what we have. But at least let's think about a possibility. Okay.
So I think it's definitely achievable for non-breaking changes.
Yes, indeed, indeed. Because
so
if
you're adding a new API or making a bug fix or things like that, we can have a pipeline that automatically builds all the container using the library, and then run a sanity test on that. If there are breaking changes, I don't see any way around it, but manually prepare the patches. And then run a manual test as we always done. But that's kind of a particular case that require attention from the entire community, because things might be broken for a little bit if you get different version of different components.
Yeah, that is kind of like when we moved from Kafka to gRPC, or when we introduced the streaming to get the container liveliness between each other. So yeah, okay, let me think of a little bit about it. I believe what Theo just said is probably what's going to happen, that we might put in a pipeline to build the containers with the new version. And if they build, good. If they fail to build, we just halt and say, sorry guys, you have to do it manually.
Yeah, what we can check there actually in that pipeline is that if the major version has changed, we don't even run it, and we send a message. Like, it's up to the core contributors to figure out whether this is good or not. If the major version has not changed, then we should be able to simply update the library in every component, and the sanity test should pass.
Great. Okay. So now the 100 million topic. This is the list of people I was proposing. And it's a consolidation of people that have contributed to different places of the system. Okay. So for example, I would trust.
And sorry, Andrea, maybe starting from Chip's point, it will make sense to divide this list in areas of expertise. So people uploading code will know, oh, I'm doing something that regards OMCI or the OpenONU adapter. I can go to Holger or Chip or Michael. I'm doing something in ONUS. I can go to Andrea or Pierre, and so on.
Yeah, even I agree with that. I think we can define more like a group heads for each of the repo.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And I think important to, in terms of list, important coverage is different time zones. If we can manage that.
Wait, David, aren't you working 24/7 anyway?
Yeah, just text me anytime.
Because if not the case, I need to review my contract.
Yeah, put David's cell number on the list.
Yeah.
So this would probably be my thinking. I guess I missed actually. I actually missed Hardik down here. I can maybe move some of these folks around because they might have more than one. Does anybody see any glaring issue in giving +2 to these set of folks?
And my main concern is just the volume, the number. I mean, I think the people on the list are all, I agree with you, have all showed great contributions. Yeah, just there.
The number. Yep. I mean, we could reduce a little bit. For example, keeping just maybe one between Yazin and Tunahan, and maybe Gamze or Ozge, not both of them. And yeah.
And it may be that we try this out and see if there's issues. And if there turns out to be issues, i.e. bugs are propping up or builds are breaking, then we can address it as needed.
Yeah. That also works, yes. But I would still give +2 to all of these folks, and then but specify in their area of expertise within the page, because I plan to move this to the page I was showing before this one. This is
Andrea,
yeah, go ahead,
it may be a bit specific, but I mean a few names there, I think they are in wrong places, so I can send some corrections to you later. But
please do.
Yeah.
Please do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So this is, I believe, the first time I am going to call a vote on the TST, and I don't see. Maybe let's wait for Amit. Yeah, Amit just showed up. Hey, Amit. So I believe this is the first time that I want to call a vote. I would like the TST members to approve this officially, and so it's myself, Amit, David, Ken, and Mahir. If you guys approve it, I will go forward. I don't want to go forward without the approval of the TST. You have my vote, which is a yes, but I would like to hear everybody else's.
I vote yes.
Yes, with the caveat that someone just mentioned, right? That we'll have to readjust based on feedback, who belongs where.
Yes, from me also yes, but I agree also to David. We need to work a bit on the list.
Amit, I know you joined late, and I'm sorry to call you like this, but
yeah, not a problem. Just one sentence on what we are voting for. I'm sorry.
The idea is to extend the number of +2 merge capabilities to this set of people.
Okay.
You can read more about it in this review here.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Then I will do that. I will go ahead, move this to the contributing page. I will add some sentences around what we discussed here. And I will ask for a review of that patch before it gets merged. And then I will work with Zach to actually achieve the permissions to this. So that's an important topic for me. And please, Mahir, I just did it top of my head. I know these folks might move around, and we can work offline on that.
Okay, sure.
Thanks. Okay. Good. Thanks a lot for that. And not technical topic, but very important for the future of the project. So I'm glad we agreed on it. So the next topic is the state of the testing with LWC, the lightweight controller from Radisys. I would like to start with maybe Theo, some of your findings, given that you've played around with it most during the past week.
Yeah, so I spent a little bit of time in the last week trying to set up a scale test for LWC, and I pretty much have a test ready to go. I still need to create the Jenkins pipeline, but that will be a small task. What I've seen is that everything seems to be working with a small caveat. That is that, as I shared on the channel, the unicast downstream flows for the UNI ports have the same match fields in the case of the Deutsche Telekom workflow. And that caused that the ID that Voltha generates for those flows is the same for every port. Now, that is not a problem per se when you're simply deploying the system, because the flows are decomposed correctly and gets pushed down to the adapters and to BBSIM, and everything looks to be fine across the boards. But I believe that this can be an issue when we start removing and re-adding subscribers, because at that point we don't have track of which flows were installed. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, Matteo.
Is that specific to the DT workflow?
I haven't tried running with the Turk Telecom workflow yet, but I assume it won't show up in the TTKs because the services have different tags, or at least the HSA service has a different tag per subscriber, and that will end up in the match fields. While in the DT workflow, we use the unitag match 4096 for all the subscribers, so all the flows are effectively the same. The mismatch I've seen compared to the flows that are generated by ONOS is that ONOS puts the port number in the table metadata match field of the flow, while LWC doesn't. I know that the guys at Radisys are looking into it. I think Abhilash and Srikar.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So as you mentioned rightly, we don't actually include the port number, the uniport number as part of the downstream flow. That is the reason why we have seen this issue. And this issue is specific to the DT workflow only, and not for the Turk Telecom. That's what our understanding is, and we are working on it. And we'll provide a new image with that. But actually, we have not seen this issue when we delivered the image to ONF. When we tested with multiple devices, there is no that upstream traffic, the traffic passes with actual devices, because whatever the issue we see is the core identifying the flows as the ONT flows as a duplicate. That is the reason why we could not identify that. But thanks for pointing it out, Matthew.
So if I understand correctly, the actual flows are installed down to the devices. It's just the logical flows that are not being correctly reported.
That's correct.
Yeah. So that's why correct. You see passing. So functionality-wise, we're good. It's just the way that we count the flows in the scale and the way the flows should be reported that is missing that component.
Yes and no. Meaning that if you just deploy everything once, then you'll see traffic passing.
Yes, yes.
But if I try to remove a flow, so for example, if I disable an NU or remove a subscriber, at that point, the flow ID that is generated is the same for all the ONUs. So I don't know how Voltha will know which flow to actually remove.
Right. There is only one flow that is in Voltha. So I think whatever the flow is there, maybe he has to remove that. But because this is ONT flow, mostly they will be ignored at the adapter. That's what my assumption was. Maybe we can get back to you on this.
Okay, and the other thing, I believe that the table metadata is expected to contain the port number down in the OpenOLT adapter.
Right, we are adding that, yeah.
Yeah, so once I assume that's not a big change, and so as soon as we have that, we should be fine to continue the testing and run some proper scale jobs, so we can have some numbers in comparison with ONOS.
Sure.
Do our scale test includes also removal of services or only provisioning of services?
The main test only contains provisioning of service. We were working on a test to remove all the flows, but that's not active on the pod yet.
So it is there in the sense that we actually make the calls. We just don't expect we just don't check certain time boundaries for the deletion. So the test is there, it's just not mandatory to pass the test. So we have ways we can check that, Mahir.
Yeah, got it.
Apart from the table metadata, you also mentioned that there were some other differences in the flow. Is that fixed through some configuration, or am I wrong?
No, there are still some other differences. Good point, Girish, that I posted on the Voltha replacement controller channel. Okay. And there is a diff with all the information in there. But that is the most important. The other one is that in ONOS, the CVLAN is added to the match fields, while I don't see that in LWC.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good to have the same kind of flow when LWC integrates. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know where it shows up. The issue crops up again.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So what I can do today is to get a dump of the flows that are installed for a single subscriber on the Deutsche Telekom workflow and on the Turk Telekom workflow with ONOS, and share it to the channel so that we can make sure that we'll get the same exact flows with LWC.
That makes sense. Maybe after you have done some of the changes to the pipeline, we could also look at possibly reusing some of the changes to the pipeline to do a sanity run. Some of the new keywords and things like that, or whatever you put in place.
Yeah, I can discuss that with Hardik.
Yep. Yeah. That we can take it offline as ONF, but that's probably what I would also like to do, because in our sanity pipelines, we actually do a more thorough check of the flows, meaning we check per flow, while with the scale, we just check the number of the flows, expecting it to be.
Yeah, the tricky part is that we're now, if I'm correct, we are now mostly checking the flows in ONOS
Yes. Well, we actually do check the Volt CTL, the Volt device flows.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many details we check in those flows though. I think like in honors we check that the CNS tags are correct.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And that will require a completely different parser for the output of LWC.
Yep.
So I'm not saying it cannot be done. I'm just saying it's not as simple as running the test.
Yeah.
And for the record, I tested this on hardware as well. So DT workflow, I have traffic passing through for single subscriber. So that's good.
Yeah, that's great.
One thing that I wanted to ask to the Radisys guy is there any documentation anywhere for the REST APIs that are available? I've seen 2 or 3 endpoints listed in a PDF document in the shared folder, but I was wondering if there are any others.
Sure, there are not much documentation, but we can discuss offline, Theo, on what information you are expecting. Yeah.
Okay, no, I was just wondering if there is like a REST API to get the flows and that kind of stuff.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
And if not, it's fine. It's just it's a little tricky to build automation around a black box because I'm basically trying to figure out where I can get data from.
Sure. We will let you know.
Theo, maybe what you could do is you could put together what you need, like just a 5-bullet list, and send it over and see what they can share with based on that.
Yeah, I don't have anything in mind yet. I was just wondering, but if I have any question, I'll post it on the channel.
Perfect. Thanks. Mahir, Serkant, the Netsia folks, have you tried? Have you had time to try this?
No, actually not yet. We haven't started to try it. But after I think it's better to wait for your ONF's test, because I mean, these problems you're experiencing, I think no need to experience in both sides. So then later we can start. Currently, I can say that we haven't started it yet.
No, I mean, I agree. It makes sense for you to start when we have at least figured it out a little bit. So I guess let's wait for the results from Theo. From a single subscriber perspective, it actually works. So you could try out at least to see to which extent it's okay for you. But we'll keep you posted, and if you have some spare time, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we haven't started it yet, but we took it into the backlog, so plan it and start to test somewhere. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay, so I believe we will be receiving a new image that contains the fixes we discussed. Abhilash, are you right? Am I right?
Yes, and we'll fix the device list as well along with that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Is there a timeline for when we receive the new image? And I don't want to push anyone, just to have an idea when to expect it, so I can organize my other tasks around it.
Hi, this is Suhas from Radisys. Yeah, we are in the process of testing after our fix. Once that is done, you should be having that fix. It would not extend beyond this week. You should probably have it this week, by this weekend.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. That's great news. Great news. Okay. Anything else? on this topic before we move on? Anybody else has any questions, any thoughts they want to? Okay. Then let's proceed on a few more topics that we have. Really, the next one I wanted to maybe get an update is the combo support in the OpenOLT. Girish, anything you want to bring up with the group? Go ahead.
Yeah, nothing has changed from the past week. All the interface changes are merged. The design is more or less done. Yeah, that's all. I mean, we have to start, implementing something in the adapter and the agent. I was hoping I could get started something on the agent to detect the transceiver technology, based on some details that I documented in the design note. That's basically to read the EEPROM data to detect the transceiver type, and then dynamically, configure that on the PON. Right now, it's all hard coded in code. That's something that I wanted to start with. Yeah, that's all. Nothing else.
Hi, Girish. This is Venkat Reddy, Venkat from Radisys. I have one question, Girish. I was just going through the document over this Google Docs. Okay, so this, sorry, before that, are you able to hear me well?
Hi, Venkat. Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So okay, one question is, I see that, so in the PON-MAC, this both the tech ports are going to merge. PON-MAC will merge both tech ports as a single port, right? Okay, so that is in the southbound and in the hardware. But how is these ports we are going to manage when it is coming, when it is from the OSS BSS? So are we going to manage independently as per both technological ports, or is there any plan that I maybe didn't see any information? At least whatever I have read, I have not gone through completely, but I just wanted to check if there is any information on that.
So there are two interfaces. So one is the Voltha northbound, and another is the DMI. So the Voltha northbound interface exposes the actual ports on the Mac device. So that's how you manage via Voltha. And the DMI exposes both, the transceiver to which the two ports on the Mac device are mapped, as well as it gives, interface to manage the ports on the Mac device as well. So I hope that answers your question. So Voltha sees only the ports of the Mac device, but DMI exposes, both the information, the transceiver as well as the ports mapped to that transceiver.
Okay, so yeah, so got it, Girish. But through the DMI, are you going to expose as a single port, or you are going to expose both ports also?
Well, it's a model. I mean, you see both. At the root, you see the transceiver, and as a children of that, you see the ports that are mapped to this transceiver.
Okay, great. This is what I just I'm looking for. Sure, Girish. But I think we might need to have some more discussions, maybe how and with respect to what parameters that we allow on the parent port, and what parameters that we allow on the children ports. But sure, at least I have got a clarity now. Thanks for that.
Yeah, so the DMI interface changes were sort of freeze, but if you think that something is missing or something is incorrect, please, write to me or, ping me on Slack, and, we can schedule a call in the next DM. I think the DMI call happens every Thursday. So we do that on the need basis. So if you think something needs discussion, yeah, sure, we can go ahead and do that.
Sure, Girish. I think that DMI interface document I'm yet to go through. I'll just go through it, and maybe we can, maybe if there are any questions, I'll post to you in the Slack. Yeah, thanks.
Sounds good. Andrew, you're saying something?
Yeah, no, I had to cancel it for this Thursday. because of an overlap with an internal meeting with ONF. But if we need so, we can put it on next Thursday. You guys let me know and I can schedule it.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks. Okay. So I think that was all I had as an update for today's meeting. But I want to open, we have 10 minutes. I want to open the floor to everybody to see if anybody has any more comments or thoughts that they want to share. Okay, then if not, thanks everybody for joining. As usual, I will publish the recording and let's continue the great work. I will request a review on the Voltha Discuss mailing list for the update here and the set of people. And I will let everybody know when that is merged and that is in effect as well. Thanks everybody for joining and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers, bye-bye.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.